Good evening and welcome to this first open webinar with the Oracle Prophecies, where the theme will be Prophecy A and the Soul Legends. This is the first out of 3 scheduled open webinars, and I'm so excited and curious to open this. I've been working with the Soul Legends since 2012 and have a lot of personal experiences with this. And for a lot of different ways and for a lot of different reasons, I have been sharing these in my teachings and in my sharings in Danish. A little bit in English as well. But this is kind of a premiere where we will begin, where a kind of a renewal with the channeling of this connection. As I can see you are entering here, we open to the entrance through the energy by the connection in our bodily experience. So you sense your body, and perhaps you sense the energy already and how the energy supports you into this experience. Breathe. Soft, deep, and choose to be here in the way that suits you. To choose. I use my intention when I'm entering the field and open for the connection, as pure as simple as it can be. But we have, each and every one of us, our own ways to enter this space, this void of consciousness, where we will meet in the mirroring of our own perfection with love and affection. Good evening and welcome here. Use a couple of minutes to open together here. Good evening. Sense a little bit of being nervous here, but that's often good when you are channeling in this level that we will open today. And I will not talk so much about it because I would like the teachings or the channeling to stand by itself. Sense through your body, your connection, your entrance, your choice to be here. And at the same time, allow your connection with your emotional state of being right now to be present, to be composed and held. Sense your body and your emotional state of being at the same time, allowing it. Allow the field to support you well into this experience. Your body, your emotional state of being, and the energy, the frequency at the same time. The field supports your connection, and you use your own capacity to be awake and be curious and allow anything to show itself without it needed to be something special. And anything shows that something is happening and we can't describe it. Actually, we can try. And it's allowed, of course. But what reaches us is the smallest part of what is shifting, what is moving what is balancing itself when we connect through the Neo Era field of consciousness and allow the support to reach us and collaborate with it by being open, curious. And now the channeling is calling. Anything and everything that reaches you is a contribution and a part of your reality. If you allow it to be, then you can choose to use your power and your availability to presence to show yourself your own reality instead of the one that can be disturbed by whatever that invites, whatever that comes by. The completeness of the consciousness was developed in this part of our universe, in the pristine, newborn breath of the universe we exist in right now. Each breath of the universe starts with an ignition, a development of a movement from zero to everything. And in the beginning, the breath of the universe opened in whatever state the potential was in. Opened in that completeness of some kind of states, and the universe breath growth within this state. And when it contracted, it existed in nothingness and reopened in whatever potential it could be in the next breath. One time, the state, the composition of what it could be was love. Love that is balanced perfection. And in this breath of love in the universe, the first consciousness that is love was born. The first consciousness that is love existed in all of this breath. And when the breath contracted into nothingness, a seed exists, the seed of love, the seed of the first consciousness that is love. And in the next breath, it opened and was born through this seed of love. And this next breath in the universe opened with the two dimensions, the dimension of the first breath with the first consciousness that is love, and the second. In the second breath of this universe, in the contraction into the seed, what was contained in the seed was what was love, what was love in the second breath. And this has been going on for more than thousands of breaths in the universe. The previous breath to this, where we are now, was the first breath of the consciousness that is love in the universe that reached our level, our physical level, or zero of the dimensions. But in this breath, no life exists, only the elements of everything. And when this breath contracted into nothingness, into the seed of love, what was contained in the seed, what was love in this breath, expansion and contraction, was a geometrical universe. And when this breath, where we are now, opened in the seed of love, the seed of the first consciousness that is love, something happened that didn't happen before. When the breath opened in one movement, one expansion, the geometrical universe exploded in particles that in this expansion began the contraction immediately, a movement into the connection with itself, the fulfillment of the geometrical universe to find itself in love in the fulfillment of the balance within itself again. And this movement will forever not exist into the zeroing again, because each of the particles met itself and different particles and created different levels of not completeness, not love, created a completely new law of the universe. And this law brought a complete new experience to the first consciousness that is love. And the legends contains the mysteries for the first consciousness that is love that came in this existence, in this universe. In all the previous universes, all the previous breaths, all the previous dimensions, everything was carrying the first consciousness that is love. Until this universe, the first living, the first life was brought through life with the creator molecule, the DNA, as in all other areas and it's all previous breath of the universe, all the other dimensions. And going from zero consciousness, the consciousness developed, but what was special here was that a lot of the consciousness, a lot of the lives developed here was flowing with the love and the light, the energy from the first consciousness that is love, but it didn't represent it because the fight for survival and the fight for completion created a lot of different struggles to fight. And these fights ensured that what was life only reflected in the survival system until the first creature that had offsprings that needed to be pampered for a long time, and which was with generous. This creature began a reflection high enough to begin to exist in love, the first consciousness that is love, and created a civilization, a people who carried in the first consciousness as love and created the mirroring of the first consciousness that is love in their consciousness and in the way their civilization exists. This civilization is called in the soul legends Cosmic Atlantis. A lot of the memories carried in Earth people right now is carried in from different civilization throughout the different incarnational programs throughout the universe. Because this first civilization was in the youth of this universe And we are in the youth right now, as this is in the most ancient area. And even though the astronomers or the people who works with the universe, with physicians who's doing that, it's not called that. Going back to the channeling, the expansion is too much, so I can't catch the English words when I try to explain. So we save that for another time. So if the universe opens with an expansion, then in the beginning, everything is in the innermost part of the universe. And through the expansion, the innermost part of the universe will now be in the outermost part of the universe. So the oldest version, the cosmic Atlantic civilization, is now in the outermost part of the universe. We exist in the youth, the youngest part of the universe. We are in the innermost part, really close to the center of the universe, where movement goes to the opposite direction to create the completion of matter. This innermost movement creates a balanced existence. Everywhere in the universe you exist, no matter if it's in the outermost, the innermost part, there's a balance within this that creates a stability and a balance within the different dimensions, so they are collaborating, staying kind of the same place in the movement, no matter what part of the dimensions, no matter what part of the memory from the first consciousness love that's carried in, it's stay balanced within the time frames, the timelines from within. We have 8 Earth around the center of the universe, where we are a part of that collaboration. No, we are a part of that civilization and have the same incarnational program, the same frame for our eternal soul that is love. There's a creation happening when a creature is prepared, it's ready to carrying in the first consciousness that is love in their version through the eternal soul that is love. But when cosmic Atlantis existed, there was no such thing as a eternal soul that is love. Because in this civilization, there was no separation. Each and every one who existed here reflected, fulfilled the first consciousness that is love from within. And through time, they created the spirit, the energy, the consciousness field, collaborated consciousness field, that the representation of the first consciousness that is love in the physical reality, in this dimension wherein you exist, you're zero from your existence. This mutual field is recreated in our area, in our mutual field in these years. The creation supports us into a possibility, a prophecy that was born in cosmic Atlantis and have been carried throughout the universe until this time. And actually, we have recreated the prophecy here. The prophecy is that at some time, a creature or the creatures in the universe will have connected enough consciousness together to recreate the complete seed of the first consciousness that is love when this breath of the universe will stop to exist. And in the beginning, the prophecy was carried in as an understanding of these different areas that have been carrying in the eternal soul that is love, that in each and every one of these, they will carry a piece of the completion of the seed of love, the first consciousness that is love, in this zeroing, in this reality, where our disturbance by our survival system has created the separation. The prophecy says that we will carry this in, and when our creature was carrying it in 10,000 years ago, we created the completely not expected version of being conscious. Being so conscious and so non-conscious at the same time, being so devoted and so non-devoted at the same time, being so wise and not so wise at the same time. And to a degree where we have carried in consciousness in a way that's stronger than anywhere else in the universe, but not so functional. By this suddenly existence in the universe that is this creature here, your creature here, suddenly a possibility to create a connection throughout the universe, throughout all of the civilization, where a mutual field of consciousness in the void of the universe exists. And the void exists exactly in this space where nothingness exists. The void is where the expansion and the connection in the center of the universe, where the energy go in the opposite direction when they are zeroing. This zeroing point that's leveling the expansion and the connection within the different dimensions, where these two is balancing to perfection. That's a void. That's a zeroing where when you reach this zeroing, the void opens where we connect throughout the universe. The fighting to survival, the ignition of the survival systems that already was recognized in cosmic Atlantis, created the first fall, where we experienced how difficult it is to exist in fear, in everything, in all. Breathe. Soft, deep, the energy is bringing us into a connection with this soul legend. Open the reflection throughout the universe through your connection. Open to the memory that's carried within through the connection with your eternal soul that is love. The light that present in balance, in love, the first consciousness that is love in your version, your contribution. In cosmic Atlantis, the mutual field that carried in the first consciousness that is love in our reality, created due to the gender two versions. And in the legends, the versions is called the mother and the father. And the mutual field that is consciousness that carries and contains everything is named the Holy Spirit. as a lack of words. Breathe, maybe sense your connection with this. I do. Without understanding, without comprehending, and actually knowing that these soul legends, they're not true. They're carrying a truth that you maybe can relate to and maybe can sense deeply from within. It can support you into your connection that supports you well. Carrying in the support that's bringing us in to the incarnation from the perspective of our eternal soul that is love. But the expression through the soul legends is like only what we can imagine right here where we are. And we are so diminished. We are so out of our own league that it have to be like showing in stories that we can relate to, but the stories is not true because we wouldn't be able to relate to the true version. Your sense from within of how it moves you, how it touches you, how you relate to this, that's your gate through the meeting and the deliverance of the support through the soul legends. So in this legend version, maybe you will experience right now that you kind of enter cosmic Atlantis and meet your life when that exists. The mother people and the father people developed through the mother and the father and their connection from within with no separation, no struggle to know. The growth of the consciousness was the only thing that was something that determined how each and every one had availability in our reality to recreate the consciousness of the first consciousness that is love into the reality. But the civilization that opens was so beautiful, so wise, so meaningful, and a very special connection through the mutual field of consciousness. The Holy Spirit, the Mother and the Father supported each and every one. But some of the bloodlines and some of the people begin to grow more into the connection than others. It was no problem. There was nothing wrong with this in the beginning. Because the connection that somebody carried and contained that was stronger and more deep was shared in the mutual field of consciousness, the spirit, the consciousness internet. And if you could imagine a consciousness internet that carried completion, balance, and love, and nothing else. Every reflection, every search within this internet will bring back more consciousness about love, peace, and harmony, more consciousness with wisdom, and wisdom that was manifesting reality, manifesting a society that made sense and was balanced in all levels, all versions, all frames. The mother people developed into a way of carrying consciousness where they began to have oracle capacity. The oracle capacity could see, have visions about wisdom that was created without previous knowledge. Until then, wisdom was carried in through previous knowledge. So the wisdom could only be contained in the creatures, in the cosmic Atlanteans, when they could create it in reality. But as a shift opened, the mother people suddenly began to see, especially the priestess, or what you would call it, the oracles. They began to see the fall that would come, the fall that would come to everyone when some of the people will begin to contain and carry in wisdom that was much more developed than the reality, much more developed than the created reality, where the mutual meeting between each other and the mutual carriage of the reality exist as the first. And because they saw this, they shared it in the consciousness with the father people. And for a really long time, they searched for solutions. They searched for solutions in the oracle capacities and tried to find a version in reality that matched the balance, that should ensure that the fall will not be created afterwards. They found a solution where they created a civilization in the bottom of the sea. And in this civilization, the oracles, the priests and the priestess, or what you would call it, moved in and began to exist as the rest of the people existed on the surface of the planets. There was 14 planets in cosmic Atlantis. You still carried the mutual field, but these carrying the higher versions and the versions that kind of carried in the consciousness of the future. They created their reality in the bottom of the sea for so long that they were gone in the consciousness of the people at the surface. And at the same time, they have created a kind of machinery that was bringing down the consciousness to each and every one until they existed in the lowest version that exists in the surface, to create the connection, the bridge, to recreate the mutual field of consciousness that wouldn't break. A lot of the consciousness from these times is incarnated with us now here, carrying in a burden, a pain that we will try to meet in the soul legends again. Because at some level in the bottom of the sea, they began to forget when they were lowering the consciousness. The prophecy here was that everyone would remember the previous step and created the wisdom to go back and forward between the previous step, the step that was there now, and the step in the future. But in the lowest perspective, they began to struggle. They couldn't contain the wisdom that was needed to exist in the bottom of the sea, because they needed their consciousness knowingness about everything to have a civilization that could thrive and exist in the water. But as they began to forget, they knew that the end of their civilization was coming. And the mother people and the father people in the civilization on the bottom of the sea they looked for reason, they looked in any way to find the solution, but they didn't end up with the same conclusion. So the mother people stayed and the father people left, arrived at the surface. The mutual field of consciousness struggled and break. And chaos merged. And something happened that extincted the mother people. And through time, the father people ended as well. The mutual field of consciousness that is love, the void from the mother that was destroyed, stayed, and the father consciousness contracted in pain, created the first form. And this first form created the first couple of cosmic karmic laws for the universe. The law of separation due to the loss of the consciousness of mother consciousness for the first consciousness that is love, and the law of the free will. Because what was foreseen in the prophecies with the downfall in the future was that the way that some of the people would develop into knowing things before they arrived will give a fight about who was right and who was wrong, and who was strong and who should determine things for each and everyone. A foreseeing of the destruction of the free will. And as the first consciousness that is love, only carries love and belief to each and everyone, to each creature, and their potential to be love. This creation of a spirit, a representation of the first consciousness of the love that would shift into non-consciousness, non-love, would potentially destroy the seed of the first consciousness that is love. This foreseeing is still here. Breathe, soft, deep. Sense how your reaction is here, your connection with the soul legends, the oracle prophecies. Breathe. The consciousness from cosmic Atlantis is arriving in our consciousness here. And they are inviting me to channel a bit from the source. Breathe. Allow it to be nothing and everything. Not analyzing. Just allow it, like music or poetry or nature, how it can bring us something we can't describe. Something that means something that diminishes if we try to describe it. See if you can be in this. Even being annoyed can be a good thing. Allow it. Allow it. Allow it. Opens to the deeper connection here. Your connection with your eternity connects you with the smallest part of you that knows this, knows everything. That smallest part of you is a memory of cosmic Atlantis. It's been carried through all of the universe and is kept alive through the incarnational programs. And you are a keeper of this connection if you sense love in a reflection, no matter where and when. The more you can be in the connection with a reflection in love, compassion, bliss, being touched to tears or just enjoy. And it doesn't have to be anything that you can describe or anything that means anything to others. The only thing that is important is that you are containing this and expressing this through the first law, the first cosmic karmic law, as you are representative of the first consciousness that is love. Through this, the first love is that you are not allowed to destroy. And there's a smaller part of the law that says you have responsibility for what you can see, what you know. Between these two laws, there exists a movement and a space, a void for the containing and the growth of the cosmic Atlantis connection with the pure source. Allow it to open here as we're in this presence call. Breathe, soft, deep. Sense from within your resonance without description, without analyzing this. Just allow it. Open this direct connection with the source. Through your smallest part that represent the memory, the existence of cosmic Atlantis. And as it opens here, it ignites each of your frequencies into the companionship within each other. The companionship within your frequencies. Allow them to go into the connection with the source that support you into your presence, that support you into alignment with your cosmic consciousness, your direct consciousness, to be a part of the universe as you. Allow it to be with non-description, not available. And then allow the connection to open right here, as it was in the pure version in Cosmic Atlantis, where all the presence, all the choice, all the creations was a version of the first consciousness that is love. This true, strong connection is what opens now within, in each and every one of us here and in the mutual field as well. It's time. The sudden appearance of timelines that can go throughout the universe 10,000 years ago showed us this possibility that we have worked upon since then. It's really special because the cosmic Atlantis consciousness is sleeping. There's no alive people that have their direct action and direct access within. And this creates a purity. It creates a separation between the source contained by the first consciousness is love, and you are as a representative of the first consciousness that is love, that ensures that only what you express that is according to the first consciousness is love will be enhanced by this. Go into this enhancement through your connection, reflection with the cosmic Atlantis, the cosmic Atlanteans. Breathe slow, deep. If you have no experience at all, still try to sense the call and how something might shift already or after this or through the next couple of days. A small shift in your choice, in your experiences, a small shift in how you see things within and without. Small shifts create huge changes with this. Slowly, slowly, the channeling release itself. As a channel, I cherish this connection from this inner sense, this inner knowingness response that's almost every time is nearly too much. And I have been struggling containing sense, emotional, multidimensional versions like bliss, compassion, devotion that somehow seem stronger than my connection with the reality. I have been struggling with fearing this and learning step by step how I ensure it's my work to ensure that this reality is the most important and that these meetings is a support for me to be a representative of the first consciousness that is love in our reality. Slowly release the connection Allow it to follow you as well into your connection with yourself in the best way. Maybe you are quiet. Maybe you have questions or something you would like to share. Please use the comment if they appear. Maybe you have reactions like me. I'm getting warm. It's natural for me when I have contained the support from the soul legends and the cosmic Atlanteans. Maybe you sense nothing or you sense something different. And it might be different from time to time. If you reuse this as I recommend, you will have different experiences because your connection with it and how it supports us will change. Your everyday state of being is changing and will give you different experiences. And by reusing energy support like this, we will experience from within something that can be difficult to explain, but gives us a new foundation of the cosmic, the consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, that's the same. The connection through inner experiences stabilize our connection with this reality and our inner reality, consciousness reality, and our reality. The connection that was shattered in cosmic Atlantis. We are working with the recreation of the healthy version here. And if we will succeed and fulfill prophecy A, then we will ignite the prophecy in cosmic Atlantis again. Prophecy A says that in these times where we are right now, we are on an edge of destruction. In this edge of destruction, there's a huge possibility for a shift where all people at the same time will open the cosmic consciousness, and actually it will be carried in through a usage of technology that has been channeled in. And even though we use it non-conscious or as a destruction, each and all the things we are creating is destructive versions, but we have them channeled in. So when we are carrying ourselves in a non-destructive consciousness, then all the technology has a capacity to be shifted into the opposite version. We will only know this when we begin to act with non-destruction. And if you watch what happens around the globe, we will perhaps see this as not something that could be possible within a small time frame like a couple of years. But prophecy A says that when this happens, within 5 years, each and everyone will be able to see that our civilization, all of it, begins to change into a version that contains meaningful choices. And the meaningful choices will make sense to all of us. Could you imagine this will happen within a few years? Prophecy A has been envisioned by the oracle in Cosmic Atlantis and the oracle's representatives that's here in this time in our existence. These oracles have seen it's the same here. So prophecy A is existing here. Prophecy B says that this will happen, but we don't know how long it will take. Prophecy C says it will not be complete, but for sure we will have a civilization that makes so much more sense than right now. This was the first open webinar with the Oracle Prophecies and with Prophecy A and the Soul Legends. I hope that you have a sense of it in your version. And maybe if you go with it and you will have questions after a while, bring them to the next open webinar or sign them in the comments, and I will be back and try to answer it. And sharing here, very interesting and sometimes quite difficult to understand fully. Can you tell why it's called the Mother and Father People? Yes, it was, thank you for the questions and thank you for the sharing. I will channel the answer. I was just about to channel it from myself or bringing it in from myself, and it's not so good. So finding a better version. The reason why it's called the Mother and the Father People is because they were created. The Mother Spirit, the Mother Mutual Field of Consciousness, the representative of the first consciousness that was love, carried in by the Mother consciousness that was really strong, because this was creatures that carried the gender of male and female, and they created offsprings that needed care for a long time. So the creation of the mother expression and the father expression was really strong in these creatures. And thus the consciousness that was created with the reflection of love, of the first consciousness that was love, was created in the spirit of the mother and the father. As the spirit of the mother and the father was getting stronger and stronger, and how spirit functions is like a complete fulfilled channeling for a long time to understand, but let's just call it the spirit. You could call it, no, that's not, we keep it there. So the spirit of the mother and the father created the spirit of the first consciousness that is love in these two versions. And as the people, they were growing with the spirit, growing with the mutual consciousness and the reflection. The mutual field of consciousness of the mother and the father, created of the mothers and the fathers, supported them in their creation to develop into a version that begins to represent and create, make choices, manifest the mother and the father. So the two people, they develop differently because they have a different spirit that they were growing with, developed with. Does it make sense? And sharing here, thank you, it was strong. Thank you so much. I was quite at work here as a channel, and as I'm really have practiced a lot in a lot of different channeling and a lot of different energy work through these years. It's more and more rare to be so much at work as I was today. So thank you for recognizing this. Oh, and the sharing here, beautiful sharing. I sense the pain and the separation and the longing after unity. Yes, thank you for sharing this. Me too. It's a huge part of my personal devotion to bring this in as a sharing, because a small part of me believe that by using this connection, we can be a part of the healing for us and our mutual field and throughout cosmos. But that's just me. When we sense it in our own version, like you express here, it's our truth that's developed through our soul legends, and that truth creates our version of the first consciousness that is love in this reality. Does it make sense? Or was it too much swirling around? Thank you for sharing. Yeah, beautiful. And with this, I will thank you so much for this meeting. I hope to see you again. And I hope you will share this if anybody you know could benefit of this, would find it interesting. And then you will support my devotion for this energy work, this sharing that's calling for me, and perhaps calling for you as well. Hope to see you again.